Hey, what's up everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be going over a build for a pure fire druid. This build used to underperform a lot, but has recently been buffed quite a bit. I've always loved the fire skills, and I'm glad that they finally made it viable and enjoyable for endgame. It actually turned out quite well, to be honest. I'll be going over the stats, skills, and gear that I use for my druid, and as always, I'll have a link in the description where you can download this exact character for your single player roster for PC. If you could really quick give this video a like and please subscribe and help me grow, I would greatly appreciate it. With that being said, let's dive right in. So the Fire Druid, it's not a common build, but it is definitely now an option. It's a pretty straightforward build, but it could definitely be a powerhouse. For the stats, pretty straightforward stats here. Strength, you put enough for gear, so you get enough to wear Enigma. I have 45 base strength here. Enigma adds a lot, so I'm able to wear my gear. You leave that alone after that. Dexterity, I usually like max blocking, but here I went with just enough to wear the gear. I use my summons as meat shields to take some hits. So here, Dex, you just use enough for the items, and you put the rest into Vitality, so you have as much life as you can. None in the energy, as always. You don't need it. You're wearing Stones of Jordan, so you have mana regeneration as well as spirit. So it's pretty straightforward stats here. Again, it's just enough to get the gear on for strength, dexterity, just enough for strength again, and all the rest goes into vitality for life. So those are your stats. For skills, for the elemental tree, I max out my fire skills. This is a pure fire elemental druid, so I'm going to max out my fire skills. I maxed out Firestorm. I maxed out Molten Boulder. Molten Boulder is my main attack on my left click. I like it a lot. It hits really hard, and they fixed the delay quite a bit, as you can see right here. I then max out Fissure. Fissure is my secondary attack. I have it on my right click. It does awesome area damage, and it hits really, really hard. And with the update, you could cast Molten Bolter and then Fissure, and you don't have to wait for the delays. They don't overlap, which is really, really cool. As you can see here, my Fissure does 4.8k damage, so it hits really, really hard. I max out Volcano. That's a synergy for some of my skills. And then I maxed out Armageddon. You have to recast it once every 50 seconds, which ain't too bad. And you have Fire falling from the sky for 14k through 15k damage, which is nice to have as well. So these are the fire skills. You max them all out. And then I put 1 point into Arctic Blast. It's a prerequisite for Cyclone Armor, and 1 point into Cyclone Armor just for a little bit of Absorb. And this is the stats for your Elemental Tree. For Shapeshifting, you're not using any of these skills at all, so leave this blank. Go over to Summoning. For Summoning, you'll put 1 point into Raven, 1 point into Spirit Wolf, 1 point into Dire Wolf, and 1 point into Grizzly. You'll be using these summons for your meat shields that take hits. And then I put 1 point into Oak Sage for life, and all my extra points went into Oak Sage. So these are the skills you'll be using from the Summoning tree. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. And now for the gear. You'll be using pretty much typical caster gear with a couple of exceptions. You'll be using Heart of the Oak for your weapon for various reasons. The skills, faster cast rate, resistance. Enigma gives you teleport and +2 to skills. Spirit, there's no better shield for a caster than this. You'll be using Mara's for the amulet. It gives resistance and the skills. Trex, if you're lacking in poison resistance, this will give you your poison resistance. It also gives you faster hit recovery as well as some strength and vitality. Arachnids, probably the best caster belt you could get unless you need some type of absorb. It gives +1 to skills, 20 faster cast rate. For rings, if you want life over mana, use Bolcathos, but if not, use 2 Stones of Jordan. They give +1 to skills and increase your mana. For gloves, I go with Mage Fist to give +1 to fire skills and faster cast rate. And now for the helmet. Before the update, the helmet I would have gone with for this build would have been Ravenlore. It gives +3 to elemental skills and -20 to enemy fire resistance, as well as a little bit of resistance for yourself. What you could have done with this helmet was put a fire facet in here. It would have added to your negative enemy fire resistance a little bit, as well as boost your fire skills damage. But with the update, they made a new rune word called Flickering Flame. And what you could do is find a nice druid pelt base with skills on it. For instance, mine had +3 to Armageddon and +3 to Volcano. So when I made Flickering Flame, I ended up getting a nice little resist fire aura with the orange on the ground. +3 to fire skills, -12 to enemy fire resistance. Isn't as much as Ravenlore, but it's still something. And a little bit of mana as well. But with this, you get more to your skills, so this is why I'm choosing this helmet. I like it, and if you were lacking with your fire resistance, that fire aura really helps out with that as well. So these are the two helmets that you could go with for this build, either Flickering Flame or Ravenlore. It's just whatever you could get your hands on. They're both pretty nice, but I like Flickering Flame in my opinion for the skill bonus that you could get. For your inventory, I go with 9 elemental skill grand charms, get as much life on them as you can, and then I go with a Druid torch, Annie, and then whatever small charms you could get. If you could get 20 life small charms or 20 life small charms with 5 resistances, if your resistances are lacking, or you could get some with mana, whatever you want, but this is what I would run with. And as always, I have Calling to Arms and Spirit Shield on the Switch for battle orders. It's always nice to have. For my mercenary, I have an Eth Cryptic Axe Infinity, an Eth Fortitude, and an Andy's helmet for him. So that is the gear that you will be using on the Fire Druid. It's the gear I use. It works pretty well on Players 8. It kills pretty decent. Not too bad for a Fire Druid. I will show you a clip here in a minute, but I'm going to show you your final stats here. So with that being said, you will have 14k through 16k Armageddon damage, 3.7k Molten Boulder damage, 4.9k Fissure damage, 5,300 life, and you will have max resistance. So overall, not too bad. I hope you go in the description, click the link, and download the files to try it out for yourself. It is pretty fun. I think you will like it. And as always, thank you for checking out my videos. I'm going to end this with a little clip. Hope you guys enjoy. Please subscribe and like the video, and I will keep bringing them to you. Thanks.
No.